The series starts in a mansion, where a girl is being prepared for auction. Another girl walks onto a stage, and nobles start bidding on her. In a private booth, Marquess Collide is annoyed at the cheap bids trying to buy her product. After the bidding, the next girl enters the stage. Before anyone can move, she suddenly summons a gun and kills the nobles. Another girl kills the workers behind the stage and frees the other girls. The two girls, Dia and Tart, fight off the guards and create an explosion. The explosion signals another group in the distance, Lug and Maha. Lug readies his gun and snipes the mastermind of the slave ring, Marquess Collide. The shot reminds him of his past life when he was an assassin on Earth training a rookie. After killing their targets, they quickly leave. A drone, however, spots them and sends the military after them. The military shoots their vehicle and destroys it. Thankfully, the two escaped and rigged the vehicle to fake their death. Before they rest, the assassin tells the rookie that he will be retiring and will be teaching assassins instead. The next day, the two receive their new identities and board a plane for their next mission. Unfortunately, their organization sabotaged their plane to tie up any loose ends and get rid of the assassin. The assassin wakes up in a mysterious place in front of a goddess. The goddess offers him two choices: be reborn on Earth with a clean slate, or be reincarnated in another world with his memories. The assassin asks who he has to kill, and the goddess smirks and tells him it's the hero. While having tea, the assassin accepts the goddess's task as long as he can enjoy his own life afterward. To start, the goddess transfers to him the knowledge of his new world. She also explains that the hero would kill the demon lord in 16 years, but will go berserk in 18 years. Thus, he needs to kill him before then. Since the hero has 30 skills, the goddess allows him to choose 5 skills and control 4 instead of 1 element. Then, she sends him to be reincarnated. He was reborn as Lug, into the house Tuathida of the Alvan Kingdom, a noble house of assassins disguised as doctors. 7 years later, Lug is honing his skills by hunting a rabbit and expertly cooking it for his family. Afterward, his father, Cyan, teaches him poison and martial arts, as well as checks his body. Satisfied with his progress, Cyan decides to give him their family's specialty, the mystic eyes of Tuathida. While healing, his mother, Esri, lovingly takes care of him. When he is fully healed, Cyan removes his bandages and Lug is amazed at his new eyes. He can see faraway objects, as well as see mana. His father then tells him that he will also get his magic teacher. His mother dresses him up in girly clothes before he goes to meet his teacher. His teacher is a little girl named Dia Vikon. To show her mastery of magic, Dia creates a powerful explosion in front of Lug, surprising him. To start their training, Dia hands Lug a far stone, a stone used to measure one's mana capacity. However, Lug's mana capacity is so huge that he overloads the stone and he needs to throw it high into the air before it explodes. The next day, they test out Lug's attributes. Dia is once again surprised to learn that Lug has not only 1 or 2 attributes, but 4. With her guidance, Lug was able to learn how to convert his mana into the different attributes he has. Spells also start forming in his mind, and Dia explains that God gives them spells when they take on mana. To demonstrate, she manifests copper using an earth affinity spell. Lug copies her incantation and Dia is stunned when he also produces copper, albeit with lower purity. The next day, he asks Dia to write down the incantations she knows. Lug quickly learns that he can manifest other elements like iron, and also create new spells from previous incantations to create new spells, like manifest gold. A few days later, Lug and Dia can now create guns using earth magic and shoot bullets using fire magic. Lug himself can also create cannons that can blow up a small island in a lake. With their training coming to a close, Lug gifts Dia a special knife and Dia gives him a far stone in return. They also promise to see each other in the future. After Dia leaves the next morning, Cyan brings Lug to a nearby prison and tests his resolve to kill another human being. Of course, Lug passes with flying colors. At the start of winter, a sickly girl is walking through the forest alone. She was abandoned by her peasant family because there was not enough food for them to eat. While lying on the ground, a pack of wolves arrives, and the girl accepts her mortality. A few days earlier, Lug and his parents were in town enjoying the harvest festival. In reality, Lug is looking for someone with mana to be his assistant. Unfortunately, he looked far and wide but cannot find anyone. Later, Lug heads out on one of his hunting trips. He then hears a pack of wolves, and when he goes to check it out, he sees them about to attack a girl. He jumps in to save her and easily kills the wolves. He then feeds the starving girl and asks her to be his servant. It turns out she has mana. In gratitude, the girl accepts his offer and introduces herself as Tart. 2 years later, the goddess is checking on one of the reincarnations she sent out. He was the best soldier on Earth, but sadly, he turned out to be in need in his new life. Meanwhile, Lug is awakened by Tart. Afterward, they have dinner where Tart serves as Lug's maid. Cyan and Esri compliment Tart's dedication to Lug. After dinner, Tart heads to the training room where Lug is teaching her to become an assassin. Unfortunately, the only weapon she excels at is the spear, which is a bad weapon for assassinations. The next day, Lug gifts Tart a retractable spear, which she can easily fold, expand, and use to devastating effect. Lug and Tart are visiting the market, and everyone thanks Lug for helping the townsfolk with his magic. Back home, Lug checks his stockpile of far stones he recreated by studying Dia's gift. Lug later reports to his father that from his 2 years of observation, Tart is not a spy sent by their enemies. Cyan then tells Lug that his final exam before being recognized as an assassin is to defeat his father. Later, Lug is in the forest hunting and being hunted by Cyan. He dodges Cyan's arrows and attacks him, but Cyan easily breaks his leg. Lug heals his legs and hides again. In their next bout, Lug was able to kick Cyan before he could disappear. Cyan then attacks him one last time, stabbing him in the shoulder, but Lug was able to place his knife on Cyan's throat, thus winning the fight. From then on, Lug helps his father with all his assassinations. One day, Cyan tells Lug that he needs a false identity to be a better assassin. He will be sent away to Miltu for 2 years to train in becoming a merchant. That night, the Tuatha holds a farewell party for Lug. Unfortunately, a son of a branch family, Rana, cannot accept Lug as their house's heir. He challenges Lug, but Lug easily defeats him in assassination and combat. Later, he meets Rana outside the house and he asks Rana to be his knight. Rana accepts and promises to be a stronger knight by the time Lug comes back. Lug dyes his hair black for his new identity as Ilig Balor, a merchant of Miltu. Meanwhile, a child named Maha, with her fellow homeless friends, is offering tours around the city. One rainy day, a group of thugs kidnap them and bring them to an orphanage run by a man named Torin. They were given scarce food, forced to do chores and menial labor, and were punished if they didn't cooperate. One day, one of Maha's friends was washed, dressed up, and taken away in a carriage. When she came back, her makeup was smudged and she was crying. Their friend was sold multiple times by Torin to numerous nobles. A few months later, her other friends also went through the same experience. One of them became so traumatized that she cut her face so that no one would buy her anymore. 2 years later, Maha overhears Torin talking about her being the next one being sold. She runs in fear and contemplates cutting her face, but a boy suddenly speaks to her. Torin then assembles the girls and tells them that the boy, Ilig Balor, is looking to purchase a servant. Ilig stops in front of Maha and asks her if he wants to join his family. Maha accepts, but Torin tells Ilig he can only send Maha to her after 3 days. After Ilig leaves, Torin prepares Maha for another of his noble customers. On the carriage, Torin starts touching Maha, causing her to push him away with Mana and run away. Torin's guard captures her, but Ilig arrives to defend her. He also heals Maha's friends, and Maha happily goes with Ilig. At the Balor household, Ilig heals Balor's son as thanks for letting him be a fake part of their family. Moreover, they have also agreed to adopt Maha as Ilig's sister. The next day, Balor gives Ilig his own store to manage. Ilig shares the news with Maha and Tart over dinner, and Ilig tells them his plan for the store. At night, Ilig sleeps peacefully next to the 2 girls, knowing that he has acquired their trust. 2 days later, Ilig presents his product to Balor and his wife. It is a moisturizer that will protect women's skin and let them use makeup more easily. Balor's wife is stunned at how good a product the moisturizer is, and Balor gives his approval for it to be sold. 6 months later, Ilig's store, Orna, is now visited by lines of people every day. Ilig had also hired Maha's friends as the shopkeepers and sales lady. That night, an assassin tries to break into Ilig's house, but Tart and Maha easily capture him. Their competitors have been trying to find out what their moisturizer's secret recipe is. Tart and Maha then torture the assassin, asking him to reveal his bosses. A few days later, Ilig leaves to go on his monthly trips to visit Daya. Ilig and Daya spend the day sharing magical notes, foods, and appreciating each other's company. At home, Tart and Maha enjoy their stay together cooking food and doing chores. Ilig then goes home and sleeps next to the girls. The next morning, the girls woke up curious since Ilig's body reacted to their presence. Thanks to their cosmetics and sweets, Ilig successfully increased his information network and gained access to a lot of nobles. Tart also reports that her assassination missions were successful. Ilig decides that it's finally time to return to Tuatha, and he will leave his store to be managed by Maha. Maha submits her report to expand the business, but Ilig discovers that her first planned store is Maha's parents' old store. Their business partner killed her parents, forcing Maha to leave in the streets. Ilig approves her plans but warns her that she should make sure it is successful. Maha's friends then arrive and give a gift to Ilig for giving them a new chance in life. The next day, Ilig changes his hair to its original white color and becomes Lug again. Lug and Tart then say their farewell to Maha, and Maha thanks Lug for everything he had done for her. On their way home, their carriage encounters a pack of wolves, but Tart easily killed them with a combination of magic and combat. Back at Tuatha, the peasants warmly welcome Lug. His mother also hugs him tight, and his father congratulates his exemplary work on being a merchant. Cyan also admitted that he created that persona so that Lug can have another life if he doesn't want to be an assassin. Lug rejects his offer and admits that he needs to be a noble because he wants to marry Daya. His father laughs and gives him his first mission alone: to kill a corrupt noble. Lug's target is Count Venkor, a noble who sold military secrets in exchange for drugs that he also sells inside the kingdom. Before he decides to kill the noble, Lug wants to know if Count Venkor really does need to be killed. He sends a letter to Maha instructing them of their mission. The next day, Lug wakes up to find his mother watching him. His mother wants to set him up with someone, but Lug rejects her suggestions. She then suggests Tart be his mistress, making Tart blush. That night, Lug and Tart run to Count Venkor's territory. There, they find numerous wounded soldiers due to their count's selling of military information. In an alley, a girl sells them some jam, but Lug breaks all the jams and defeats the men that show up. The jam is laced with drugs and the girl is forced to sell it due to her addicted mother. Lug heals her mother and leaves. A few days later, Ma sends cosmetic products to Tuatha, and she and Lug, disguised as a lig, head to Count Venkor. There, they meet his wife who tested their products, and Count Venkor himself. After a party was held in their honor, Ilig leaves to proceed with the assassination. From a distance, he snipes Count Venkor. He sees his wife crying over his corpse, which makes Lug sad too. Tart consoles him, and Lug realizes that instead of being a tool like in his previous life, this time he will choose who he has to kill. Lug and Tart are boating home after training their magic on an uninhabited island. Maha welcomes them at the shore and reports the recent events to Lug. She had found the divine treasure, the magic spear Gibalg. It is currently owned by Satanta Maknes, the man most likely to be the hero. There is also a civil war occurring in Daya's kingdom, and sadly, Satanta Maknes is a member of the army. On his next visit, Lug advises Daya to escape the civil war using his connections. Daya, however, gets angry and tells him that she has a responsibility for the welfare of her citizens. Instead, she invites Lug on a date. They dye their hair and go out into town. There, Lug notices that there are a lot of soldiers, but Daya informs him that it's because of the draft. The two then head to a shooting gallery and Daya scolds Lug for attempting to use his magic to win. In a compromise, Daya shoots the arrow with Lug teaching them. After a meal, they find a lost child in the streets and help him find his mother. Daya then invites Lug to a hot spring. There, the two share a kiss. After Lug leaves, Daya changes her hair to its original color and calls her soldiers. With tears in her eyes, she bade goodbye to Lug. 2 days later, a wounded man suddenly arrives at Tuatha. Cyan tells Lug that the man had given them a job, to kill Daya Vikon. The Vikon family once joined a civil war but was promptly defeated. They have paid their indemnity, but the winners want one last thing, Daya. Count Vikon and Daya are ready to surrender, but their citizens suddenly rise up and don't want to hand over Daya. Their subordinates staged a rebellion. Unfortunately, they are on the verge of losing. Count Vikon hired the Tuathas to kill Daya, but in reality, he wants them to fake her death and rescue her. That way, she can escape her family's end. Lug remembers how he was just once a tool as an assassin, but now that he has his own feelings, he decides to accept the job. Before he leaves, Tart volunteers to help him get there easier. She runs ahead of Lug with a shield, removing the air friction that will slow down Lug. She knows Lug took her in just to use her, but she's glad that Lug needed her. Through rain or shine, she runs ahead until she stumbles and her body cannot run anymore. She knows Lug loves Daya and tells him to bring her back. Lug leaves, with Tart crying after he's gone. Lug finally reached the Vikon castle being besieged by an army. He promptly snipes their leaders and using the Far Stone filled with magic, he rains down explosions among them. The chaos allows Vikon's soldiers to rally and fight the army. Meanwhile, Lug takes this opportunity to find a dead body and sneak it inside to where Daya and her father are. After Lug and Daya share a passionate embrace, Lug explains to Count Vikon the plan. They would have Daya shout out the window and then burn the room, making it look like an act of self-deletion. The corpse Lug brought would be Daya's double, and Daya would escape with Lug. Daya opens the window to start their plan, but Lug suddenly senses danger and pushes Daya out of the way. In the distance, an enemy knight throws a spear that rains destruction down on the Vikon army and hits Daya's location, destroying the wall and the window. The spear then goes back to the knight. Lug immediately creates his cannon and fires on the knight, but the knight tanks the hit. The knight then shouts, challenging Lug to a duel, and introduces himself as Satanta Maknes. Lug recognizes him as the hero and knows that he will lose in a straight-up duel. He sends a weapon somewhere and accepts the duel since he knows they cannot run from Satanta. They meet in the middle of the field and Lug makes Satanta promise that they will retreat if he wins the duel. At the start of the duel, the weapon Lug sent earlier dropped from space, creating a nuclear explosion. Lug based the attack on a hypothetical weapon from Earth, a satellite that shoots metals back to Earth. It was infeasible on Earth, but thanks to the magic Lug developed with Daya and practiced with Tart, he was able to perfect it. The explosion blasts Lug back, severely injuring him and knocking him unconscious. He wakes up to find the enemy army obliterated and Daya crying over him. He shows her the Far Stone she gave him before and reminds her of their promise to each other. The two share a kiss and head home to Tuatha, with Daya now disguised as Lug's younger sister. Later, Cyan tells Lug that the hero had been seen in their kingdom. In the capital, the hero, Lord Epona Rhiannon, had just arrived.